And sitting right next to me the whole hour is the great, the wonderful, the good-looking comedian Jamie Lissow. If hilarity were a lottery ticket, I'd rub him vigorously and hope for a big payoff. Well, that was pretty funny. He'd rather chop a log than read a blog. But slowly and surely, presidential hopeful John McCain is joining the 21st century. In the New York Times Sunday, he confessed that he's behind the curve when using this thing called the internet. Jamie, but I think Jonathan makes a very good point, that by saying these things, he allows his critics to paint him as out of touch. And is that fair?
I don't think it is fair. I think he's consistent because I think McCain's always been kind of resistant to change when it comes to information exchange. Like, for instance, when he was in college and they invented regular mail delivery, he stuck with cave painting long after it wasn't cool.
Jamie, don't you think it's smart to have your staff show you stuff rather than having to go out and search for yourself? That gives him more time to mow the lawn.
I would totally agree, but I have a staff called Google, and you just type it in, it kind of does that for you.
I like the fact that they describe him, when he's talking about technology, he was describing it ruefully, Bill. What does ruefully mean?
Well, that's the thing. It's ageist. Since I am under 70, I can only be regretful. But if I'm over 70, then I'm rueful. It's very much...
I thought ruefully was when you give a girl a drink and she goes home with you.
Yeah.
Well, dragged home, but yes, I see your point.
She wakes up and goes, was that drink ruefully? I don't remember anything.
Some guy named Ricky Wallace was recently found guilty of cocaine distribution, even though he was sharing his drugs with a so-called lady friend. Jamie, when police raided the apartment, they found out 1.5 grams of coke. Now, you go through that in an hour, so how can that be seen as distribution?
I just did 1.5 grams when the camera was on Bill. I was nervous.
That is amazing. Taking advantage of the glass table. Well done.
I sort of do agree with what you're saying, though. Like, I feel like, let's look at he has the girl over.
Yeah.
And, like, we've taught our children to share.
Yeah.
And now intend to distribute. It's like, again, sharing. What are you going to do? Invite a girl over and just do 1.5 grams of cocaine by yourself?
Exactly. It would be so rude.
How rude would that be?
But on the other hand, if you're doing drugs, it's a lot of relief off you not to have to, like, have these freeloaders come in asking you for drugs. You can say, no, I can't give it to you because I don't want to get arrested for dealing. And then you just sit there and you do all your drugs in front of them.
That is a good point, because every time I've ever bought weed, I've always had the intent to distribute, and then I just never get around to it.
Yeah. A judge has ruled that an inmate at the ultra-high security Supermax prison won't be getting his dirty magazines and books. Jamie, why can't he be like the rest of us and rely on his fruitful imagination than having to get some porn?
That's a great point, and especially like if he's into cartoon porn. Have you ever heard of drawing?
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you just make your own?
I spent, like, from ages, I guess, 7 to 12 drawing women. I mean, that's it was what you did. Or erasing bras off Sears catalogs.
Absolutely. And I've always been a huge fan of cartoon pornography, because I feel like there's no victim, because in the picture, it's never an ugly girl with a horrible body. It's just a bad illustrator.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So the New Yorker, otherwise known as Highlights for Liberals, ran a cartoon on their cover with Senator Barack Obama in Muslim clothing, with his wife dressed like a Black Power revolutionary, complete with automatic rifle. Jamie, does this hurt the Obama camp or help? Or does it hurt McCain or help?
I don't think it really hurts the Obama camp. I think it's a joke. I'm excited to find out that it was like a cover that was just drawn to be like facetious. When I first saw it, I thought it was a caricaturist had made that for them at a fair.
Oh, yes. Lindsay Lohan has a new clothing collection out that will bring girls to their knees, literally. The new fashion line features Mr. President leggings. The $132 tights come complete with knee pads, while the entire collection, according to the freckled frock lover, is inspired by the rotting corpse of Marilyn Monroe. Jamie, what kind of message is this clothing sending to girls out there?
A positive one. These stocking things are crazy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something to the guys out there. If you go out with a girl and she's wearing leggings with knee pads, you will most likely get some action, with some exceptions. One of them including if she's also wearing a catcher's mask and you're playing co-ed softball. You may not. You may not. It is inappropriate.
The other thing that I think they could have marketed this differently if they called them contact tights. You wear them when you lose a contact in a bathroom.
Oh.
So you get down on your hands and knees
Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's right to assume that because of the knee pads, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's
like if it had a matching hat with a handle on it, I mean, maybe then.
right, true.
Or an ashtray in the butt area. Yeah, that would.
All right, from tights to fights, the president and Colin Powell, or rather the actors who play them, were arrested for bar brawling in Louisiana, a state, Bill. Josh Brolin, and there they are, and Jeffrey Wright, who are filming W, an Oliver Stone movie about the letter W, were arrested in Shreveport at a bar called the Stray Cat. According to one report, locals who caught wind they were there started insulting Stone, his politics, and the anti-Bush tone of his film. That led to harsh words from Brolin, then few punches, and it's not who's clear who escalated things. Jamie, I ask you, was Brolin just getting into character?
Maybe doing like some early W years in the bar?
Yeah.
I think so, man. By the way, I'm a huge fan of any Oliver Stone historical movie because I know so little about history. All the ends are a surprise to me. I had no idea how JFK or Nixon was going to end.
Yeah, really.
I can't wait to see how W ends. A lot of people hope he dies at the end.
Oh, I know.
I understand why they go a little crazy because I go a little crazy on my budget. So I can't even imagine just having the women and the girls around.
Yeah, that's true, too.
I'm just alone in my house.
Canadian, that's a Canadian comedian for all of you out there. Jamie Lissow, if hilarity were an AA meeting, I'd do him with a bunch of alcoholics. Hate your date. Writing at thefrisky.com, Sex and Love columnist Judy McGuire gives women some strategies for ensuring that he never calls you for a second night of misery. The one thing, Jamie, the one thing that bothers me is sex columnists in general. These are the people that give the excuses. They always tend to be the creepiest people. You know. Why is that? It's like they're not really experts.
Yeah, you feel like they're in a basement with like a typewriter with pictures of guys and girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, if a girl doesn't want me to call her again,
yeah,
all she has to do is sleep with me.